how we dealt with Antifa here in Norway. In this video I will follow up my other videos about masculinity, and I will also talk about how we dealt with Antifa here in Norway. Now, we had Antifa in Norway in, I would say, in the late 80s up into the 90s. We don't really have any significant Antifa movement in Norway now, and we haven't had that for a long time. I believe that in order for us to have a healthy democratic society, we need also to have an ongoing healthy discussion between all the sensible political fractions, so to speak. We need the left and the right to talk together. We need an interaction, or we do not want a society where everyone agrees. Those societies are often called dictatorships. Antifa seeks to take away their opponent's right to speak. In Norway, most of the political parties are, I would say, even though I disagree with many of the things that the politicians here say and do, they are quite centrist. So the right and the Social Democratic Party, for instance, they are both quite centrist. I would say they are center-right, center-left. Now, you will have Antifa coming in and saying, now I don't want to use that word, and I don't want you to use that word in the comment section either, because this is YouTube. I could say National Socialistic, because that, so you know what I'm talking about. They have no problems putting that label on everyone they don't like and everyone they want to silence. They are into depersoning people. They are into taking away your rights as an individual to speak. And keep in mind that that right is not a natural right. It's not the natural state of a human society. It hasn't always been that way, and that freedom to speak is something our ancestors had to fight for and die for. So we should not give that away. So how did we get rid of Antifa back in the 90s? Well, first of all, the police arrested the Antifa people out in the streets when they did something illegal. Of course, it's legal if you apply in advance to march in the streets and shout, slogans, and that's perfectly legal if your protest is approved by the police. But when they start hitting people, obviously that's not legal. When they start throwing rocks at the police and their horses and the windows in the streets and so on, that's also illegal, and they would be arrested. And I can remember the name, actually, of the nickname of the police chief in Oslo back then. He was called Iron Willie. Yeah. So he dealt with those people. Now, that was not the only part of this. It's also important to understand that most people felt that the Antifa were losers and they were ridiculed. And I think that, well, I don't think we should bully people, but I think that the whole movement should be ridiculed on a regular basis. Using humor is great. That's a great weapon. We should keep telling jokes. We should keep making memes about these people and ridicule them. And again, I'm not talking about your like political opponents and people you disagree with. I'm talking about the violent fraction that is Antifa. Yeah, I was actually attacked by one of those guys in the classroom. And it didn't end well for him. So I'm saying that not to brag, but to use. I'm using that as an example that these people, they live in this bubble and they are emboldened and they think that they are so great, so powerful that they will tear down the whole society and build a new one. And this leads us to how this is connected to the discussion about masculinity, which I have talked about in my previous videos, some of my previous videos. Antifa wants to get rid of the traditional and the natural, biological, the natural order of things, I would say, but they especially hate masculinity. Now, they hate masculinity because they want to tear up the families. They know that they have to tear up the families. They need to break apart the families, because in their dream world, there can't be anything like that. There can't be families. There can't be, you know, a man and a woman, mom and dad, and kids living together, you know, as we have always done. They also view masculinity as part of a hierarchy where the man is the oppressor and the woman is the oppressed. They really believe that. They really view the world like that. These are not the brightest people, okay? So we need to understand that these are emotional people. They have a lot of hate, and I'm sure that they have all personal issues. And like most people who seek to these extreme groups, it's something they do because they can't handle life. They can't handle what happened to them in life. So they start blaming everyone else, and they find enemies, and they focus on hating instead of improving themselves. If Antifa continues to spread and get away with their behavior, it will be a direct threat to masculinity. So there are obvious differences between the 90s and now. Antifa has become large, at least in the North America, sorry, because of internet and social media. We didn't really have that back in the early 90s, so they have a lot of support from the internet warriors, the keyboard warriors. They are able to spread their venomous ideas through social media. And they also have a lot of support among journalists. I think it was a CNN. It's CNN. I try to avoid watching that channel because it's not a good news. It's not an objective news source, to say the least. But I've seen some clips and where journalists support the Antifa, which is obviously something they shouldn't do, because they are supporting violence and they are supporting the idea that it's okay to hit people you disagree with if you label them, for instance, that term from the Second World War, then it's okay. Now, of course, if you have like an IQ higher than your shoe number, it's very easy to understand that way of thinking is dangerous, because who is going to decide who's the N-word. I'm saying N-word. I know that means something different, but I'm using the N-word in that, you know, that political fraction from the Second World War. Who's going to decide who gets that label? You know, it takes us straight to 1984 and Newspeak and political regimes that used the same tactic to get rid of, well, whoever they wanted to get rid of. They just put a label on them, and that meant that they were less worth. They were worth much less, and they were kind of not worthy of. They didn't deserve rights as other people, as normal people, you know. So they could just be arrested and killed. So, okay, we have the internet, we have social media that makes it easier for Antifa to spread their venomous ideas. But here's the thing, they are not alone on social media. They are not alone on the internet. Excuse the change of scene, I had to move because of technical issues and mosquitoes. Antifa is not alone on the internet, they're not alone on social media. And the censorship that they want to silence their opponents, that censorship will eventually silence Antifa as well. So I want to finish this video by saying that if you who are watching this is part of the Antifa or any other extreme political or religious group, there is a way back. You can turn around and get out of all that. There is a better life for you. It doesn't have to be all black and white, it doesn't have to be like that. You can still walk out of all that mess. I truly believe that. I truly believe that there is a second chance for you. So please consider that. If you're part of the Antifa, you're not morally better than anyone. I would say on the contrary. It's not going to give you a good life. It's not going to bring you anywhere in society. It's not going to make you happy. It's not going to do anything positive for you. Hurting other people, which your movement is all about, is not a good way to live your life. And for all the rest of you, I hope you enjoyed the video. And if you're not already a subscriber to this channel, please consider subscribing. I will be back in a few days with a more normal video. This is more like a reaction video, and but I wanted to say a few words about it, and so there you go. Okay, I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you in a few days. Bye bye.